Greatest Superfriends is an animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera that ran on the ABC network from 1979 to 1980. Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Wonder Twins, Zan and Jaina, and their monkey Gleek would continue to comprise the membership of the Superfriends. The majority of episodes from this short-lived 8-episode run have the running theme of being based on famous literary works and fairy tales.
Don't worry, Jaina. Old Super Zan knows just what he's doing.
That's what I'm afraid of.
The episode, titled Rub 3 Times for Disaster, is loosely based on the folktale Aladdin and His Magic Lamp. The episode gives the folktale a new coat of paint by setting it in the popular backdrop of outer space. Kareem Azar is the self-described thief of the planet Zagdad, who has stolen the magic lamp of Alam. One tends to question if Zan actually knows exactly what a thief is, because he quickly thanks Azar for saving them from the malevolent genie that Gleek accidentally frees from the lamp. Unfortunately for the Wonder Twins and Superman, who is vulnerable to the magic of the genie, Azar has the genie trap them within the magic lamp. Luckily, while the other Super Friends hold the villains at bay, the Wonder Twins' Exorian powers activate, turning Jaina into an elephant and ultimately releasing Superman to stop the mad genie once and for all.
The Super One is finished, Master.
It's time I showed you who's really your master. That'll teach you not to smoke.
Space Knights of Camelot is an episode that is based on Arthurian legend, as well as Howard Pyle's King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This episode begins with Superman flying through outer space on his own power, when he saves a prehistoric planet from collision with a meteorite. Taking a page from the Adventures of Superman episode Panic in the Sky, the backlash of the meteor explosion sends an amnesiac Man of Steel rocketing to the nearby planet of Camelot. The forces that oppose King Arthur VII quickly crown Superman their new king, and in his confused state, he takes on the mantle of the Black Knight of Camelot.
Thou art the Black Knight of Camelot.
Superman as the Black Knight of Camelot is reminiscent to Elseworlds tales from the DC Comics called Superman the Dark Side from the year 1998. The Superman the Animated Series two-parter titled Legacy from the year 2000 probably took its cue from that Elseworlds series, as well as John Byrne's version from the Legends crossovers of 1986 that ran through all the Superman titles of the day.
At last, I've conquered the castle.
Superman!
Also, it is worth mentioning that this episode is one of the few times that sees Wonder Woman actually using her magic lasso to compel people to tell the truth.
Oh, we'll soon find out just how much you know. My magic lasso will compel you to tell the truth.
The episode, titled The Lord of Middle-earth, takes its inspiration from J.R.R. Tolkien's epic fantasy novel, The Lord of the Rings. What starts out as a relaxing camping trip for Gleek and the Wonder Twins becomes a perilous adventure to Middle-earth. A sorcerer named Mal Havoc, who looks like he owes a bit to Morbius, the living vampire's character design, has enslaved the trolls of Middle-earth and turned the Wonder Twins into trolls themselves. When Gleek brings the other Super Friends to rescue Zan and Jaina from Mal Havoc's clutches, they too are transformed from Super Friends to Super Trolls.
I will show you what true power is.
Ultimately, Gleek proves to be the hero that can carry the one true ring, because this is in fact merely a dream of delusion that the Blue Monkey was having on the aforementioned camping trip.
I'm out of it for a little while. Everybody gets delusions of grandeur.
Terror at 20,000 Fathoms is an episode that is based on Jules Verne's science fiction novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. In place of Captain Nemo, we have the sinister submarine commander, Captain Nimoy, who has created an android Batman in order to commandeer United States nuclear warheads.
There! My android Batman is functioning perfectly.
This would not be the last time viewers would see robot Batman on television. The Batman the Animated Series episode, titled His Silicon Soul, sees the supercomputer known as Hardak create a robot duplicate of Bruce Wayne that believes itself to be the real Batman. The robot Batman of the future appears in episodes of Batman the Brave and the Bold, such as Time Out for Vengeance and Mightfall.
No, I cannot allow this. I will not allow this.
Lastly, in the massive multiplayer online video game, DC Universe Online, the robot Batman that appears in this game is a robotic copy of Batman using Brainiac's technology. Designed by longtime Justice League nemesis T.O. Morrow, the robot Batman has all of Batman's abilities and weapons without his sense of morality and justice. Players must chase after the robot prototype to an undisclosed location within the Star Labs space station before it locates and kills the original Batman.
Great Gotham. Who are you? I'm Batman. Take him back to the sub. I've got work to do.
Even though both Superman and Wonder Woman are away on another mission in outer space, that doesn't stop the 4 super teams from the bottled city of Kandor from lending a hand. Mygar, Iran, Hana, and Dor-El were created exclusively for the Superfriends animated series and really have no comic book counterparts to speak of, but their character designs certainly remind me of Dave Cockrum-era Legionnaires. They also bring to mind the Superman Emergency Squad, a team of Lilliputian Men of Steel from Kandor that first appear inside the pages of Action Comics, issue 276, by the year 1961.
It's the Kandorians.
4 of us are almost as strong as Superman.
Captain Nimoy is in for a big surprise.
The episode titled The Superfriends Meet Frankenstein, of course, takes its inspiration from Mary Shelley's classic tale of horror, Frankenstein. A modern-day descendant of Victor Frankenstein, his great-great-grandson creates his own Frankenstein monster to enact vengeance against those who maligned his family name.
No! It can't be!
The first appearance of Frankenstein's monster in DC Comics comes within the pages of Detective Comics issue 135 by the year 1948. Titled The True Story of Frankenstein, it postulates that Mary Shelley's tale of fiction is actually based on some form of reality. Ivan, the gigantic, lumbering assistant of Baron Frankenstein, is mistaken to be Frankenstein's monster after getting an electric shock that makes him comatose. After being revived by adrenaline, he becomes a mindless, obedient servant that Batman and Robin face off against due to timey-wimey shenanigans.
It's the Frankenstein monster!
Get out of its way!
An alternate interpretation, titled The Spawn of Frankenstein, has its backup strip begin in the pages of The Phantom Stranger, issue number 23, by the year 1972. Scientist Victor Adams, who uncovers the genuine article preserved in ice, brings the spawn of Frankenstein to life for a second time using electricity and laser technology. The monster is then blamed for a crime he did not commit by Dr. Terrence 13 when the laser technology technology that returns the monster to life runs rampant, killing Victor Adams and rendering 13's wife, Marie, comatose. The Phantom Stranger and the spawn of Frankenstein finally cross paths by issue 26 of his ongoing series. The Frankenstein monster later appears in Superman issue 344 as a servant of Count Dracula by the year 1979. Even though the Phantom Stranger would ultimately dispatch both Dracula and the creature to the realm of nightmares, this is probably not intended to be the same character as the spawn of Frankenstein. Yet another version of the character, who calls himself Victor Frankenstein II, appears inside the pages of the Young All-Stars by the year 1988.
You'll never get away with this, Dr. Frankenstein. The Superfriends will stop you.
On the contrary, Batman. They'll be a part of my new monster, which will be 1,000 times more powerful than this one.
Post-Crisis, the character would get his own miniseries from Grant Morrison within the pages of Seven Soldiers Frankenstein by the year 2005. A year later, a young Frankenstein would be introduced inside the pages of Teen Titans issue number 38. The teen sidekick later gets his arms ripped off in the 52 World War III battle against Black Adam by the year 2007. He'd later show up as one of the combatants in the Clock King's underground gladiatorial battles of Terror Titans by the year 2008. The elder Frankenstein would get his own Flashpoint miniseries inside the pages of Frankenstein and the Creatures of the Unknown by the year 2011. Post-Flashpoint, the character would be part of DC Comics' New 52 initiative, with Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, issue number 1, later that year. He'd go on to become a key member of Justice League Dark within the first annual by the year 2012, and played a prominent role in DC Comics' weekly series Future's End by the year 2014.
It's incredible! All of the Super Friends' powers rolled into one creature which I alone command!
Ultimately, the monster proves to be of little challenge for the dynamic duo, so Frankenstein hatches a plan for a new monster, which will be 1,000 times more powerful. This patchwork super monster takes on characteristics of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to create an Amazo-level threat that Robin is left to face alone.
Oh no, it can't be. Dr. Frankenstein has created a monster from the Super Friends.
In a last-ditch effort, the remaining abilities of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are transferred to Robin, and we're all treated to a showdown between a super monster and a super Robin. By the year 2013, the Teen Titans Go episode, titled Super Robin, features Raven granting the boy Wonder much-wanted superpowers that ultimately prove to be a curse. Robin Rises Alpha, issue number 1, from late 2014, in addition to the final arc in the New 52's Batman and Robin title by 2015, sees a resurrected Damian Wayne as a super-powered Robin.
Bitches leave.
Finally, The Planet of Oz is an episode that is based on L. Frank Baum's and W. W. Denslow's children's novel, The Wizard of Oz. It begins with Robin and the Wonder Twins monitoring a runaway tornado headed for Metropolis from the relative safety of the Bat Blimp. The goddamn Bat Blimp would later appear in Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Zero Year within the pages of Batman issue number 29 by the year 2014. Soon enough, the tornado transports the entire Hall of Justice to the Planet of Oz. It turns out this is all a mischievous ploy from that fifth-dimensional imp, Mr. Mxyzptlk, and the only way for Superman, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman to return home is to find the Wizard. Mr. Mxyzptlk's sole appearance, in a comic book from the year 1979, takes place within Superman issue 335, titled Mxyzptlk spelled backwards is Troubble. Nostalgic for the good old days of the Daily Planet building, back when it was a newspaper rather than the Galaxy Broadcasting building, Mxyzptlk literally turns it into a building made of newspaper.
What's the matter with you, Super Dunce? Don't you read the classics? You're in the land of Oz, and all you have to do to get out is find the wizard. The wizard, the wizard.
Along the way down the yellow brick road, the Super Friends encounter Mr. Mxyzptlk, disguised as the Wicked Witch, who turns Superman into the Tin Man, Wonder Woman into the Cowardly Lion, and Aquaman into the Scarecrow. With the Star Wars craze still in high gear, the Munchkins of Oz are replaced by Jawas, and things get worse before getting better when the yellow brick road turns into kryptonite. Thankfully, Superman converts his tin body to lead using his heat vision and continues on.
Who's the fool now, Mxyzptlk?
I'd say it was me, Superman. But my mother taught me never to lie. Never lie.
In the end, this was one gigantic scheme to get the Super Friends to help Mr. Mxyzptlk concoct a cosmic potion that is supposed to enable him to remain in the third dimension, even when tricked into saying his name backwards. Fortunately, the trio sees through Mxyzptlk's scheme and changes the chemical composition of the elements before Mr. Mxyzptlk drinks his potion.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll show you, smarty pants. Watch this. Simple skim. Hey, what's going on? I'm fading away. You tricked me. You're nothing but a super spoiled sport.
The few episodes that are exceptions to the rule are Lex Luthor Strikes Back and Universe of Evil. Lex Luthor Strikes Back, of course, is capitalizing on the feature film presentation of Superman the movie. Once Luthor escapes from Metropolis Penitentiary with the aid of the Otis stand-in, Orville Gump, he operates out of an underground sewer lair, exactly like his feature film interpretation. While Lois Lane has certainly made her share of infrequent appearances on various Super Friends series, it's worth mentioning that this is the only appearance by Jimmy Olsen in a Super Friends cartoon, even if he turns out to be Luthor's henchman, Orville Gump, in disguise.
You're a genius, you idiot!
Other major Superman comics featuring Lex Luthor in the year 1979 were far and few between. In the Action Comics landmark 500th issue titled The Life Story of Superman, we do see a climactic confrontation between Lex Luthor and the Man of Tomorrow. Then the story, Clark Kent's Super Secret, from the pages of Superman Family, issue number 195, sees Clark Kent disguising himself as Lex Luthor rather than Luthor, using his reverse camera projector ray to disguise himself as Superman, as he does in this episode.
Smile, boss!
Shut up and take the picture!
Playing on the familiar trope of heroes fighting their evil duplicates, most famously in Star Trek's Mirror, Mirror, Universe of Evil sees the Super Friends fending off their vile namesakes from a parallel universe, the Super Enemies. Precisely like the transporter accident which causes the good Captain Kirk to swap places with his evil Mirror Universe counterpart. The volcano, Mount Vesuvius, serves as the focal point to enable the Super Friend, Superman, to swap places with his Super Enemy counterpart.
Great Satan, it's impossible. The eruption must have blown me into a parallel universe of good.
Once the two Supermen are transposed between their respective universes, they quickly begin to notice the anomalies. Batman's red devilish outfit, Robin's pencil-thin mustache, Aquaman wearing an eye patch, and of course, the Hall of Evil.
It can't be. The Hall of Justice?
The female scientist that assists Superman to return to his own universe by way of antimatter could certainly be interpreted as a tribute to the actress Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura on Star Trek. However, the highlight of the episode has to be the evil Gleek and his nefarious laugh.
You didn't count on Gleek informing us of your escape.
In the final analysis, I would be hard-pressed to level any harsh criticism towards the world's greatest Super Friends. Not only have the episodes ingrained a strong sense of nostalgic familiarity, as these were cartoons I was watching on early Saturday mornings, but they have the additional sense of familiarity from strong literary sources, not to mention Star Trek. With the exceptions of Lex Luthor and Mr. Mxyzptlk, the villains may not exactly be mainstays of the DC universe, but they're certainly a far cry from the dingbat mad scientists and hapless, well-intentioned miscreants from the Marvin and Wendy days. Goofy space mosk flying saucers aside, the show has cool-looking pirate skeletons with laser swords, and Jaina turns into my favorite dinosaur, the Triceratops. Really? I mean, what's not to like?
We did it, Super Sis!
Looks like we're full-fledged superheroes now!
Shut up and take the picture!